Hello you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because we are going to be talking about my 10 favorite books of this year. I have never filmed a book video in my entire life, and I don't know why I decided to start now, but I feel like my love for books has grown over the past couple of years, so I want to start incorporating it more onto my channel. If you guys are new here, I mostly post nursing related videos, nursing vlogs, just kind of my life as a new grad nurse, which is all fun. I love filming those videos, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to share a book video with you guys. Not sure how good this is going to be at me describing the books because I tend to forget what I read by the next book. So bear with me here. I'm going to kind of have to read the summary over again to kind of remember what the book was. But I compiled a list of my 10 favorite books of the year. I think I read a total of 30 books. I'm currently in the middle of reading Powerless. No, Reckless is the second one, I think. I'm currently reading Powerless by Lauren Roberts on my Kindle, and I think I'm like 60% through, so I'll probably finish by the end of the year because today's December 9th, so I'm definitely gonna finish. But I think I read more books this year than I have in my entire life, to be completely real with you. My goal this year was to read 24 books, and I did exceed that goal. Some of the books I did listen to, so I don't know if you want to count that. I count audiobooks. Do you guys count audiobooks? Anyways, let's get into my favorite books of the year. Oh, I'd like to preface by saying I mostly read romance and thrillers. Those are like my two favorite genres. I've read a couple fantasy books and I've read a couple historical fiction, but for the most part, romance and thrillers are my jam. Mostly romance though. I haven't read a thriller in a while. Oh, also, sorry, one more disclaimer. None of these books were from this year. I just needed some type of books in my video to make it look more like a book video, you know? But all the books that I read are indeed on my Kindle, so sorry about that. I do eventually want to get like a little mini bookshelf and just have all the books that I've read, or I guess not mini, a large bookshelf with all the books that I've read. I think that'd be super cool to look at, but for now I mostly read all my books on my Kindle from the Libby app, which basically allows you to rent books from your library, and it's freaking amazing because they're free. I think you get like 21 days to read the book and then you return it, and it's awesome. It's literally just like a digital library. Okay, anyways, starting off with number 10, we have Happy Place by Emily Henry. I think I can give this book like a 4.5 stars. I absolutely love Emily Henry's books. I've read a few of them at this point and they just hit every single time. Basically, this book is about a couple that goes on a trip with a bunch of their friends, and they've been the perfect couple ever since they got together, but they actually broke up 6 months ago and they haven't told anyone, so they have to kind of fake to their friends like they're still dating, and basically they're just putting on this show for their best friends, but they're actually still kind of in love with each other, and it is just such a cute, good vibes book. Honestly, Emily Henry's books definitely have some dark topics in them, but I feel like a lot of them are very relatable, and that's what makes it super enjoyable to read. Also, she has such great banter in her books. I'm just like kicking my feet reading them. I just love a good Emily Henry. Brief intermission, had to close the garage door. Anywho, that is book number 10, Happy Place by Emily Henry. Such a good read. Okay, coming in at number 9, Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This is the first book in the Boys of Tommen series, and I've heard so many people on TikTok talk about this series. I had to pick it up, and it is a YA series, but again, it has a lot of dark topics in it. I feel like it is not made for a younger audience, even though it is YA. So essentially, the main character, Johnny Kavanagh, he is a star rugby player at his school, and he meets this girl, Little Shannon, who is very broken, damaged, wants to hide. She goes through a lot in her life. She's been bullied. She's been to like many different schools. She has a really hard family life at home. It's kind of giving Johnny wants to save her. And this book was so freaking good. Literally no spice at all. This book is the definition of a slow burn. I think it was 700 pages long, which is very long and the longest book I've ever read. But I don't know, I just kept wanting to pick it up. Like reading about the couple and reading about their friend group and their family life at home. I just felt like it was all super interesting, and I love the way that it was written. It's also very different from other books that I've read because it's set in Dublin, Ireland, and also I listened to this book on audio, and Johnny's voice is Irish, and it's actually really funny. At first I was like, I don't think I can listen to this, but then I started listening to it on my walks and I kind of got used to it, and then after I read this book I was literally in my head saying things with the Irish accent. I just find myself thinking about these characters often. I just love them. I also read the next book, which is Keeping 13, I believe, and that book was just as good, but that one does have a lot more spice. This one is literally just the two characters basically making eye contact the entire time. I think they kissed in the book once. Sorry to give that away, but literally So if you're looking for, you know, a good spicy romance, this one's not for you. But if you're looking for a very slow burn, this one is for you. I think I rated this book I want to say like either 4.5 or higher. I loved it. I really did. Halfway through, I was like, am I gonna make it through? I don't know. But then I just kept finding myself picking it back up. So I loved. Okay, coming in at number 8, The Friend Zone by Abby Jimenez. She is my favorite author, I think, of all time. I don't think I've read an Abby book that I didn't love. I feel like kind of similar in the way that Emily Henry writes her books. They're very realistic and you also like get that banter, but I feel like with Abby Jimenez, in my opinion, they're easier to read. Like, I think Emily Henry has a little bit more descriptive details in her book, but Abby Jimenez is a little bit more fast-paced. I don't know. In my opinion, I think. Essentially, this book is about our main character Kristen, and she's not really looking to date, or is she? I don't really remember. Honestly, the main part that I remember about this book is the fact that she has to have some type of medical procedure to where she's unable to have children anymore, and she ends up meeting this guy at her best friend's wedding that's actually the best man, and he basically wants nothing more than to have a big family, and they end up falling for each other, but she always has in the back of her mind that she can't give him what he wants out of life, which is a big family. And Kristen thinks that he would be better off with someone else because of this. She doesn't want him to not have the family that he wants because of her medical condition that she's suffering. Also throughout the book, she keeps like pushing him away but won't tell him why, and it's because of this medical condition that she has. Is this spoiling? I don't think it is. It's kind of like in the synopsis of the book, but again, it deals with a lot of dark topics. It deals with infertility, loss, and like real life stuff. So if you're looking for that in a book, I would recommend literally anything by Abby Jimenez, but this book is really good. Yours Truly is still my number 1 though. That book has a special place in my heart. I'm super looking forward to Abby Jimenez's new release this coming year. I think her new release is coming out April 2025, but I'm super excited for it. All of her books are a win. Okay, coming in at number 7, we have The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. I read this book earlier in the year, so I don't remember too much about it, but I do remember that it was super suspenseful and the ending really took me by surprise and I did not see it coming at all. I listened to half of this on audio and I was just so invested into like what was gonna happen at the end. And with thrillers, I feel like sometimes I can kind of try to guess the ending and I'm somewhat right, but this one I would have never guessed, and it was such a good twist. And again, I don't really remember what happened, but I just remember that fact. So The Perfect Marriage is about a seemingly perfect couple, but Sarah is one of the best criminal defense attorneys in Washington DC, and her life is going seemingly as planned, but the same cannot be said for her husband Adam. Basically, he's a failed author who is very jealous of his wife's success, and he's kind of grown to resent her. And for 2 years, Adam has been having an affair with Kelly Summers and has kept it a secret. But then her body is found at the couple's lake house and Adam is arrested on suspicion of murder. And basically, his wife, Sarah, has to defend him because she's a defense attorney. Well, she doesn't have to, but she's going to defend him. And this whole time I'm like, why? Why is she defending him? But that's besides the point. This book is so freaking good, and I just love a good whodunit. Like, I'm intrigued. I was very intrigued this whole time, and I really just want to find out who the hell did it. Who killed Miss Kelly, the mistress? Did Adam kill her? Stay tuned to find out. Okay, coming in at number 6, we have another perfect. The Perfect Son. I didn't realize these were back to back, but this one is by Freida McFadden, and it is another thriller, psychological thriller. I was on a big Freida McFadden kick at the beginning of this year because her books are just so easy to read and just super fast paced. I feel like I don't get bored. They're definitely like page turners. Like, I really want to know what's coming next. They're only like 300 pages, so again, they're super quick and fast to read, and that is a lot of the time, especially when I was first getting into reading, this was what I was looking for in a book. That's why I started with Colleen Hoover and Freida McFadden. These were like the easiest books to read, and this book is so creepy and eerie and just gave me the heebie-jeebies, but again, kept me on the edge of my seat. So essentially, this girl goes missing and the police suspect that she was murdered, and Erica's teenage son Liam was the last person to see this girl alive. So of course, the detectives are questioning Liam and suspecting him, and Erica has always sensed something disturbing about her child. She wants to believe he's innocent, but as the evidence compiles, she can't deny that Liam may have done it. The mom like really wants to believe and protect her son, but at the same time, she kind of feels like, wait, could he have done it? I don't know. This book was just so juicy. I think I actually gave this a 5-star because of how fast I read it. I think I read it in like a day and a half. I was just on the edge of my seat the whole entire time and I could not put the book down. If you guys have not read books by Freida McFadden, this is your sign, because we have another Freida McFadden coming in at number 5, The Inmate. this is probably my favorite Freida McFadden book just because the main character is a nurse practitioner and I'm a nurse, so whenever I relate to the main character, I'm gonna love the book even more. Like, you would think that I would want an escape from like my career, but no, I don't know, I just love to relate to a book. Basically, this nurse Brooke, she starts working at a maximum security men's prison, and there's 3 rules that she must follow. Treat them all with respect, never share any of their private information, and never become too friendly with the inmates or give out your personal information to the inmate. But nobody knows that Brooke has a history with one of the inmates, Shane, who they were basically high school sweethearts, and essentially she was what made him end up in prison. Well, I mean, he committed the murders, but her testimony is what basically got him arrested and put in prison, and that's something that he will never forget. I feel like Freida McFadden's books are a little bit cheesy and like use very classic cliches like having no cell phone service, but I just feel like it was so entertaining. She has so many twists and turns in her book. I don't remember exactly how this one ended, but I know that I did not predict the ending, and that's what also led me to rate this book a 5-star. I'm pretty sure I rated this book a 5-star as well. And it was just really interesting for me to read about a nurse in a prison, even though it's like definitely probably not how it is in real life, but it was very interesting to me. And quick read, the female main character in this book is a little bit of an idiot, as are the female main characters in all of her books, but I just love them. I just freaking love them. I can't stop reading them. Coming in at number 4, we have Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna, and this is a historical fiction book. This is the first historical fiction book I have ever actually completed. Is it historical fiction or is it just fiction? I don't know. But this book just pulls at your heartstrings, okay? It is about 2 girls and their span of their 30-year friendship and kind of just everything they go through together and also separately. And I feel like the 2 main characters are very different, but you love them for like different reasons. And I found myself rooting for both of them like individually. One of them I liked more than the other, to be honest with you. But the 2 best friends, Tully and Kate, are very different. Tully seems to be the coolest girl in the world. She's smart, she's pretty. Essentially, she has it all in Kate's eyes. Kate is very unpopular and basically just not cool, but she comes from a loving family who mortifies her every single day of her life. But Tully goes through a lot of family issues, so Kate's family kind of takes Tully under their wing, and Kate's family basically tells Tully she can be whatever she wants to be in the world and to dream big. And Tully decides that she wants to be a, what is it called? Like a news producer? News broadcaster? I forget what it's called. But essentially that's like her big dream in life, and you kind of just see her go all throughout her career and kind of how they keep in touch throughout the years. You read about a lot of tragedy in this book. I feel like Kristen Hanna just has like the best writing. I felt like the book felt very long, but in a good way. Like, you really get to know these characters. I mean, it is over the span of 30 years, but it's very emotional and they end up going through things at the end that makes it very sad. But I feel like it really has a good portrayal of friendship and how it's definitely not perfect. It has its ups and downs, but friendships are so important in life, and I don't know, I just really love this book. I actually read this most recently, so this is kind of the book that I remember the most of, and I'm also watching the show. But don't be like me and start watching the show while you're reading the book, because you will spoil it for yourself. Because I thought the show was kind of gonna go along with how the book did, but it doesn't. The show bounces back and forth between timelines, whereas the book goes like continuous timeline. Like, it starts from when they're young and goes all the way till when they're older, but the show goes back and forth, so it will spoil things for you literally within like 10 minutes of watching the episode. So wait until after you're done reading it to watch the book or to watch the show. Okay, next. Coming in at number 3, we have Saving Six by Chloe Walsh. This is also part of the Tom and Boy series. This is the 3rd book of the series, and this book is about Shannon's older brother, Joey Lynch. So in the Binding 13 book, it's about Shannon and Johnny, but this book is about Shannon's older brother, Joey, and his girlfriend. And just like Shannon, he kind of goes through a lot at home and having to deal with his abusive drunk father, but then he finds this girl that basically sees the good in him and kind of like the only thing positive in his life right now. But he also knows that he is not good for her. He copes in very negative ways. But Aoife, the female main character, she wants to unravel all these secrets of Joey's life and kind of see where he's coming from and why he chooses to do the things that he does, while Joey kind of fights to keep her out of his life, but at the same time he is falling for her. This book is just so freaking good. I put this above the Binding 13 because I feel like they go through so much in this book, and I love being able to like read about the family and just kind of like the friend group, and just reading about a character that's broken and then the other person wants to like not fix them but make them a better person and like encourage them to become a better person. I also felt like a lot of things in this book I could relate to, so that made it very interesting for me to read as well. I don't know if I really mentioned, in the Binding 13 series, there's a lot of talk about rugby, because that's like the sport that they play in Ireland. So essentially all of the male main characters in this book play rugby, but it's kind of interesting to read about, even though I don't literally know anything about rugby. They kind of talk about it a lot in the first book, and I learned a little bit. So put me in, coach. Okay, coming in at number 2, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. Another Emily Henry book. This book was so freaking good. I think this book actually came out this year, and it was actually funny. Like, I laughed out loud reading this book, and I don't think I've done that in any other book. But again, their banter is just so good. And basically the premise of this book is Daphne and Peter, and they're like in this loving relationship until Peter realizes that he's in love with his childhood best friend Petra, and so Peter breaks it off with Daphne at the beginning of the book, and so Daphne is stranded in Michigan without friends or family, but with a dream job as a children's librarian. And I just thought this part was so cute that she was a librarian, but she doesn't make very much money because she is a librarian, so she barely has enough to pay the bills. So essentially she has to find a roommate, and the only person who could possibly understand what she's going through is Petra's ex Miles. So Miles is also going through the same thing because Petra got with Peter, so they're both broken up with and their exes are together now, so why not live together? But in the beginning of the book they're kind of like avoiding each other, they don't really talk, they're living together but they're just roommates, that's it, until they like come up with this plan to post photos of them together as if they were together, just to like get back at their exes to make it look like they've moved on, but they're essentially not together still. But the male main character Miles is like the perfect man in a book, okay? He's charming, he's selfless, he's easygoing, he's adventurous, he wants to try new things. He takes Daphne to like new places in the town that she's never been to, and it's just so romanticized, this book, about the things that they talk about, and it really makes her love the city that she's living in, even though at first she really wanted to move away because she associated Michigan with, you know, being broken up with by her fiance, and all she wanted to do was get out. She actually even found a job that at one point she was gonna take, and I just love how she comes to love the city that she's living in because of Miles, and it's just such a cute book. You guys need to read this. I say that about every single book. Okay, coming in at number 1, we have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This book, I still think about this book every single day. It is just so different from anything I've ever read. It is like a little bit of magical realism. Essentially, there's this magical apartment where sometimes the main character, Clementine, enters this apartment and it's 7 years in the past. And just recently, she has gone through something very traumatic of her aunt passing away, and they were very close. They took a trip together once a year, and they just have so many good memories, had such fun times together. Her aunt was so wise. I love this book because of the aunt so much. I feel like just the advice that she gave Clementine was so good. Her aunt kind of has the motto that like live every day like it's your last, and she really just wants Clementine to dream big. And one day Clementine walks into the apartment and she finds this strange man standing at her aunt's kitchen, and this man is everything that she's been looking for in her past, but he's younger and she's not in the state to fall in love at this time. But this man is only in her past, so when she walks into the apartment, it was actually 7 years in the past. If I was one to highlight books, I would highlight the shit out of this book because there were so many good quotes, especially things that the aunt said. Okay, I'll just read you one. Nothing lasts forever. Not the good things, not the bad. So just find what makes you happy and do it for as long as you can. Like, that's gold. Tell me that's not gold. Also, I will say that there's no real explanation by why the magic happens. It kind of just happens, and I kind of find that fun. Like, I didn't really need an explanation. I was just more there to like read about the characters, and it was just kind of an extra touch that they had this like magic in it. I thought it was fun. Okay, you guys, this concludes my favorite 10 books of 2024. Let me know if you guys like this video. I feel like I'm not very good at giving descriptive details about books, probably because I don't really remember them very well, but I did my best, and I wanted to give you guys inspo on books to read, especially coming from someone that used to not be a reader. This is the most amount of books I've read in such a long time, but it's become such a fun hobby. Just being able to be immersed in a book and in that world is just so fun to me. So let me know down below what your favorite book of 2024 was, and if you're gonna read any of these books that are my favorite books of the year. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.